Thank you. I'll wait for the music to end. Hello, everyone. Good morning. So, I look after our EHR product lines, TrackCare and IntelliCare, as well as our HealthShare product line. And what I wanted to do this morning is spend about half my presentation talking about today and the things we're doing at InterSystems to help all of you today. And all of what I'll talk about is in the hallway. So during the break, we'd love for you to take a look at our AI native EHR and our interoperability and some of our solutions out there. And then the second half of my presentation, I'll talk about tomorrow and give you a sense for some of the things that we're working on to help you stay ready to adopt new technologies and transform your organizations for the future. Okay, and part of the tomorrow, I'm going to do a demo. That's why we have new equipment here on stage to give you a sense for what this really looks like. So starting with today, I always like to talk about you before I talk about us, and the trends that we're seeing all of you go through and some of the forces affecting you are number one, sort of attracting patients with great quality care, exceptional service, and really transforming that experience you have with your patients. The second is around your workforce, attracting clinicians, preventing burnout, making it an enjoyable place to build careers, practice medicine, and move forward your organizations. The third is just the opportunity of sort of data movement, interoperability, digitizing your organizations, and removing some of the friction in really leveraging digital technologies like ours, like other systems you have at your organization, and taking advantage of some of the new approaches out there in the market. And the last is AI. We really think we're at the beginning of AI making a big contribution to healthcare, and we've been focused, and you'll see a lot more later. We've been focused on AI for the user experience and making your users, your clinicians, your back office staff more productive. And the way I would ask you to think about it, given Dr. Ferris's presentation, is that 12% of the population that's working in healthcare, how do we enable them to take care of more patients and really kind of double their effectiveness? And we're targeting some of our AI work really around that, and you'll see a bit more. So we enable transformation in healthcare. That's our theme. So we think we're most helpful when you're trying to change your organizations to prepare them for the future. And we do this across all different parts of healthcare. We have a special track record in the provider market, but we also help life sciences companies, med tech companies, insurance companies, other parts of healthcare as well. And we basically do it with three different product lines, and I'll touch on each one. So starting at the bottom is our foundational product line with Iris. So this is a data platform that enables partners to build applications, for you to build applications on, and we build our own applications, of course, on this platform. Just going counterclockwise, because the rest of my presentation will be like this. We also offer tooling as part of that product line for integration and for building kind of FHIR repositories, interoperating data with FHIR, that kind of thing. In terms of connected health solutions, we have our HealthShare product line, which is really focused on providing an integrated data for a community. So a region, group of hospitals, some other sort of community of practicing organizations can bring the data together and really benefit from a connected community in terms of workflows and that kind of thing. And then, of course, our EHR product lines, TrackCare, and now with IntelliCare as we rethink the future of EHRs with AI at the core. That's what we're building with IntelliCare. And as Luciano said, this was kind of a vision of ours. Last year, we were doing some prototype type demos. It's now live. It's now generally available, and we hope you're as excited as we are about the future here. So just a little bit more detail on each of these. One is we empower a lot around the world. We're really pleased to partner with all of you and many organizations around the world, and we're proud of what we've done together. We store more electronic medical records than anyone else around the world. Some of the biggest EMRs, including our TrackCare, including Epic, including many others, store all their data in our technologies. And you can see some of the other stats here. We have many customers in all sort of continents around the world using TrackCare, and we're really pleased to be in so many parts of the world and so many different kinds of hospitals and clinics, and really enjoy making that kind of contribution with all of you. So starting with our foundation, I'll talk about Iris for a bit. So there's really two things I would highlight about our data platform that we're most proud of, and we think sets you up for the future. The first is that it's a multi-model. And what we've found is that as database technologies have evolved, they've evolved in different models. So there's relational technology vendors, there's key value store vendors, there's time series products, there's object model products, and this fracturing makes it hard to build a good modern application. And so our philosophy has always been to have a single data plane, basically, that manages all these different types of databases within the same underlying technology. So you might have an application that deals with relational data, but that same data is presented as documents or key value information or those kinds of things. So the single architecture, kind of single storage of information, but projected multiple ways, we think is the best way to build an application. And I would give today's example is with Gen AI, a new type of storage has been created called a vector embedding. And what this does briefly is that it allows a Gen AI system to extract relevant information so a large language model can use it. And so as you store text data like clinical notes, you need to store these things called vector embeddings, which are long numbers associated with each chunk of a document. And so a bunch of new database technologies have come out with that are vector databases. Well, what we've done is we've integrated right into our platform. So as you store clinical documents in our Iris, like TrackCare does, those are automatically vectorized so that Gen AI can take advantage of them. So this is what we mean by putting AI natively into our platform instead of it being separate. So this model of single database but projecting multiple ways, continues to sort of pay dividends for application builders, and hopefully you can take advantage of that. The other thing that's really special about our data platform is its scalability and performance. And I'll just highlight, since I'm going to do a lot of talking about TrackCare and IntelliCare, one other global EMR, which is Epic. So Epic is also built on our technology and has some of the largest health systems around the world. And one of the things that we do with Epic is we're constantly working with them, trying to understand who their largest customer is or their next largest customer, making sure our technology is always a few years ahead of where they need to be. And this is the graph that we use in our collaboration with them. And the purple line below the line is basically Epic's largest customer in any given year. And the y-axis is the millions of global references, millions of database references that they need for their largest customer per second. And you can see 12 years ago, this was a few million database accesses per second, and now it's nearly 200 million global references per second. The black line is the capabilities of Iris. So you can see we're always ahead of Epic, but we've also had to grow over the past 12 years and over our entire history to sort of stay ahead of the largest customers around the world. So you can be assured that as your organizations gets bigger, gets more complex, needs that extra performance and scalability, that we're going to be there with you. We pride ourselves in this dimension, making sure that we can always scale and perform for you. The other capabilities we have within our data platforms is interoperability. So this is as an integration engine, as an enterprise service bus, really helping you connect all the systems throughout your organization. And so our data interoperability platform, which we call Iris sometimes, we call it Health Connect as well. It's embedded into TrackCare and Telecare and HealthShare as well. But interoperability is basically in each of our product lines, and it basically speaks as many dialects as you can think of in terms of HL7 or FHIR or X12 or CSV files or what have you. Allows that to be transformed and then useful for downstream applications or connected applications. So we really want you to have the tooling that allows data to flow freely through your organizations and connects up all the important systems so that you're productive, no information needs to be repeated, no physician or nurse needs to take care of a patient without having that full picture of the patient at their disposal. The other thing related to interoperability is our work with FHIR. And FHIR is taking off around the world as a new interoperability standard that's less about messaging, copying information from one place to another, and more about systems speaking to each other, asking information of each other, and more of that real-time API-based connection among systems instead of the messaging copy and paste sort of architecture. So FHIR is very exciting. We're seeing a lot of you kind of build interesting applications and use cases around FHIR, and then customers around the world as well. And so we offer full FHIR capability, whether that's interoperability, converting in and out of FHIR for systems that don't yet speak FHIR, and also as a FHIR repository. So you might get data from various systems and store it in a standards-based way that allows you to build applications, access this information, whether it be for research or those kinds of things. So that's our data platforms. Our HealthShare product line is around unifying data for a community. And this is a little bit of a confusing picture of it, but what we're trying to achieve with HealthShare is that if you have a region, if you have a set of hospitals, that we enable those kinds of customers to bring that data together, to unify it for point of care use cases, for subscriptions and notification use cases. So a GP will know when their patients go into emergency department over the weekend, those kinds of use cases, as well as analytics use cases, care coordination use cases, that kind of thing. And so what you see in this picture is just data sources on the left, throughout your region. We bring it together with technologies on the bottom, so matching patients, unifying providers, unifying the care record across these different data sources, presenting it in analytics form, presenting it in a clinical viewing form, and then applications on the top, whether that be for clinicians like clinical viewing, whether it be for patients like patient portal, mobile apps, that kind of thing, or whether it be for caregivers across the community, where a community across multiple organizations can work together around a single patient care plan. And I'll just say two things about HealthShare. One is that it's really under the core engine of HealthShare is a unified data model where all the data, regardless of its source format, that sort of thing, is converted into this comprehensive data model, which we've used across all different market segments. There's a patient at the core. You've got clinical type of data. You have social determinants data, care coordination data, payer data, that kind of thing around the single kind of unified model. And we use this model then to project that information out in whatever form a downstream system might need it. The other thing about HealthShare, the theory is that it's many to many. So you have many different systems, you have many different use cases, and the idea is instead of connecting each data source to each use case, whether it be a metrics dashboard or a physician portal or a patient mobile app or an OMOP repository for research, that you unify it once in an architecture like this, and then project it out in its multiple different ways. So it's a more efficient way to sort of manage and govern your data and make sure all your users get the benefit of cleaned up, healthy data that's been aggregated, deduplicated, normalized in a nice, useful way. I always bring too many slides, so okay, and then the third product line I'll touch on is TrackCare and IntelliCare. And our demo will consist of IntelliCare, so I'll be a little bit brief in this area. But what we're trying to do is sort of change the paradigm of the users in the healthcare system. The users in the healthcare system are kind of struggling with the interaction with our software or anybody's software. We've digitized healthcare, but we've done it sometimes making our clinicians into data entry people, spending too much time kind of entering data, pointing and clicking their way around the system, trying to find information within the chart, trying to get something in like an order or a medication update or a lab test, that kind of thing. And we want to make that a more natural experience in this next era. And that's where we see Gen AI really having this, this opportunity. And so our focus with IntelliCare and with incorporating AI throughout the whole product line is that it's intuitive, that it allows physicians to be focused on care and interacting with patients and not so focused on the computer. So we want our clinicians taking care of patients, not taking care of the database or not taking care of the computer. And Gen AI, we feel really enables us to do that. And our theory that we embarked on over the last couple years is that AI is not something that is third-party companies necessarily doing it, and your clinicians have to leave their EHR and go over to these separate products to use them and then come back. That we feel that AI is such a transformative, such a useful technology that we want to embed it right into every place we can over time in the EHR. So it's easier to use, intuitive, more anticipatory, and can get more done for you as a user. So that's the idea behind IntelliCare. And we're really at the beginning of this journey. We're sort of 1 year into that journey, and hopefully you'll like what you see as you see some of our demos. But this will be a many-year journey of making AI really useful. IntelliCare is built on TrackCare, as Terry mentioned. We wanted to do that because we love TrackCare. We know many of you use it and have invested time in the workflows and the data and the rollout and the training and that kind of thing. So we really wanted to leverage that, but then layer on this AI infrastructure. And so, from a stack point of view, it's built on our Iris platform at the core, as all of our products are. It has foundational elements in telecare, which are kind of applications and modules used throughout the whole enterprise. So documentation, our AI assistant, those kinds of things. Then we have departmental capabilities, which are tuned toward the ED, the ICU, maternity, operating theater, the different sections of your enterprise. And then advanced AI, where we have capabilities like ambient documentation, like coding assistant, these kinds of things, like building actions from the patient visit itself. These are things that are advanced AI-driven capabilities, which we're introducing throughout the system. Okay, so now let me talk about what's next for AI and what's next for us as an industry. So I will just give you a short history of AI over the past few years. AI has been around for 50 years, but this era that we're in right now, I think, is very exciting, and it's finally having an impact in our products, and of course, as consumers, billions of people around the world sort of use AI every day, as it turns out. So they're kind of, I'll just do the last 5 years, let's say. There's a machine learning era, which is about predicting one thing. So predicting whether a patient is going to be readmitted or show up for their appointment or is going to get diabetes in the next couple years or those kinds of things. So machine learning is an incredibly useful approach. This is where we started. And it's basically about predicting the future along one dimension, some useful dimension. And that has some impact in our lives, especially in radiology, especially in drug discovery, but not as much in our main core business areas of EHR. The era that we're in now is really the era of Gen AI and large language models. Essentially what Gen AI has done so far is it's a writing machine. So we've used it for really one task. You ask it a question, and you get some kind of response back. So writing can be like the chatbot experience that we see as consumers. When we do ambient documentation, it's sort of take this audio file and turn it into a summary of the visit. All the use cases that we've implemented so far are really around writing. Patient letters, discharge summaries, SOAP notes, recommending orders, recommending next steps, those kinds of things, and that is going to be useful to us for the next few years, and I think it's going to give us tremendous productivity benefits in terms of a clinician quickly learning about the patient, quickly doing documentation, those kinds of things. And then the next era, so the next few years, we predict will be around this agentic AI concept. And agentic AI is moving our use of AI from just writing to doing, basically. So being able to not just recommend scheduling an appointment or that sort of thing, or getting a patient set up for surgery, but actually executing the steps associated with more complex workflows that we as humans have to futz with, but can do that automatically. And so I'll just take a few moments to explain what this kind of looks like, and then we'll give you a demo on this. So the way Gen AI works today, you might be familiar, is that you have an application. So IntelliCare would be an example. You're trying to allow a user to ask a question like, what are the meds that this patient is on, or does this patient have any cardiac history in their past? And that application will take that prompt from the user. It'll combine it with internal data like the patient's chart, It'll send that to a Gen AI system like OpenAI or Azure or DeepSeek or something like that, and then that will respond back. Okay, and we get a good answer back, basically, because we provided the background information that the large language model uses to answer that question. So that's kind of a chat experience, really supported by internal data, like a patient's chart. Okay, and the way that happens is in a secure way. That information is sent. It's not stored by the large language provider. But it helps the large language model answer a question appropriately. So the way it would work with agents is instead of sort of putting all the brains in your application, you're leveraging the LLM actually to do some of the workflow and some of the decision making about what to do next. So I'll just do that same example of answering a question about the patient chart. So you are providing the LLM the prompt, like what are the meds this patient is on, and you're providing it a list of tools. And you're saying, here are the tools you have available to you. You can list the parts of the patient chart that exist. You can ask for a section of the patient chart. And actually, those would be the only two tools you really need. And then you ask the LLM, I want you to answer this question. What tool would you like to run? And the LLM will respond saying, I would like you to list the sections of the patient chart that you have. So that's number 2, that the LLM requests that a tool be run. And then your application will run it. So you run this tool, fetch the sections of this patient chart that you have. You'll get an answer back from your tool, and you'll send that to the large language model, and then you ask it, what would you like to do next? What tool would you like to run next? And then the large language model would say, well, given this question, I would like to see the meds for this patient. And that's fine. Then you run that tool, you get a response, and you send it back. And then eventually the large language model will say, okay, I have what I need. Here's the answer to your question. Okay? So this isn't the best example because the old model can do this fine. But I just wanted you to kind of understand with agentic AI, you sort of have a passing of control to really leverage the Gen AI's capability, the large language model's capability, to decide on what would be a good next step to achieve this objective that this user asked me to do, which in this case is just to answer a question. So the tools might be, in this case, show me the sections of the patient medical record, fetch me this data, list clinical documents, maybe do a string search across the chart. So the large language model might say, well, let me search for meds in all the clinical documents and see what comes back. So it's kind of like a person. You're kind of using the large language model like a person might do answering a question like this. Poke around the chart, kind of read documents, search for things, and then answer the question. And so large language models, as they get better, it's not just about writing, it's about making decisions and requesting tool calling. So what this will allow us to do is to do more, bigger workflows than just answering a single question. So in this workflow I would like to do surgery on this patient. Can you set everything up for me? Okay? And that setup then could be scheduling the visits, scheduling pre-op visits, actually booking the surgery itself, booking the surgeon, booking the room, ordering some tests prior to the surgery, getting prior authorization if that's necessary from a payer, and then confirm whether that's approved. And sort of there's a multi-step process here. And we want to use AI not just to recommend the steps, but to actually execute them. And by executing them, you have to provide tools, like I said in that diagram. So the tools might be an API to schedule an appointment, an API to sort of interact with the patient and ask them scheduling questions, essentially, through the patient portal, let's say. Booking the room, booking the resources, this can also be API calls. So you're providing it kind of capability that it can do to execute these steps. Now, each of these Or some of them, you might say, well, I want your help, but I want to review that as a human before you do it. So before you send the patient pre-op instructions, I want to see what you're going to send the patient, and I want to edit it or approve it or change it or what have you. And so with each of these steps, you can indicate where you want a human in the loop, but there might be some steps where you feel comfortable eventually not having a human in the loop. So if you have a chatbot with the patient that asks it, hey, are you available Tuesday, or are you available September 20th, or that kind of thing, and you're comfortable that that chatbot behaves, does a good job interacting with the patient, then you might say, just go do that. I don't need to review every message you're going to send to the patient. And so there's an important part of agentic AI, which is kind of thinking through where there's a human in the loop, and where the system, you're comfortable with the system taking a particular action without you being in the loop. Okay? But at any rate, this whole approach can be applied to all sorts of big workflows. So I did the setting the patient up for a surgery. There might be other workflows, like getting a patient proxy to make sure you can take care of the patient if they if needed. Find the CT for this patient across town. Fill out this form for social services online. So go to some website and fill it out with information from the patient. Look through the patient portal. Check them against, look through our patient panel. Check them against clinical trials, sort of government database of all the trials going on. And build me a list of people that might be eligible for any of those trials. And so these are the kinds of things that we'll be able to ask a system tomorrow, not necessarily today, and the system will be able to sort of methodically execute these steps. And so the idea here is that instead of just answering questions, providing a summary, write me some document, that tomorrow, as we take advantage of these technologies a little bit more, and these technologies get better and better, we'll be able to empower you and your users to state kind of larger requests and have the system be able to execute those requests with your preferences, with you in the loop at the steps where you want to be in the loop. So it's a rather exciting kind of next couple years of AI. You know, we're focused both on today, which is launching IntelliCare, making it really valuable, making it work well, having it be really good contribution to your transformation, but also keeping an eye on and sort of developing for tomorrow where these technologies are going, because this is an industry that's moving relatively fast, and we want to assure you that we're sort of always looking ahead and making sure we're living in the future from a development point of view and making that work. So what I'd like to do now is bring up some of my colleagues to show you what some of this looks like in action. Okay, Dimitri? Not yet.
Yeah, no, okay, there we go. Okay, good morning, everybody. It's a real honor to be here, and thanks very much for your attention. So Don's been talking about agentic AI, and what we're going to look at today is a vision of what the future might hold. So if you come back this afternoon, you'll see some IntelliCare demos in terms of real functionality available today. This is a view into our R&D process. These are, we think, maybe not too far in the future, but we wanted to take you through a little bit of how agentic AI could look in action in the EHR of the near future. So to do that, we're going to go through a quick patient scenario. So I have a patient, Margaret Hamilton, who's arrived at the emergency department, unfortunately quite unwell and severe respiratory distress. Luckily, we have a very good doctor with us, our own Dr. Emmeline Ramos. So Emmeline, I'd like to invite you to the stage. And if you want to, thank goodness you're here.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to pull up Margaret's record in our system, and you can have a look at it.
Okay, I see we've got a lot of data there, which looks great. Some of the data I might want to see about Margaret could be sort of at the top, some of it could be at the bottom here, but it's a little bit generic, though, Dimitri. What I would really love to see is a summary that is relevant to me as an ED physician seeing Margaret today, and relevant to why she wants to come and see me.
Right. So as luck would have it, I have an ED chief complaint summary that you, in fact, have crafted yourself, a personalized prompt.
Yeah.
And let's just run that to give you a sense of what we're seeing in the record.
I think that looks great. I can read that in about 5 seconds. And it's actually giving me information that I really need to see, which is she's got quite abnormal vital signs there that's in red. So I think we should see her straight away.
Okay, great. Let's bring our patient, Andra, to the stage. I'm going to fire up our real-time ambient system. And we'll run that in the background. For the audience, you might want to keep an eye both sides of the screen. The right-hand side of the screen is more of an internal agentic dashboard where you'll see some of the agents in action. You wouldn't necessarily show that to the end users, but we thought it would be important for this demonstration.
Okay. Hi, Margaret. I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling well. What I'll do is I'll take a quick history and do an examination, and it will get you treated straight away, okay? Now tell me when your asthma attack first started.
Thanks, doctor. So it started about 2 days ago. At first, my inhaler helped, but now it's not enough.
Right. Do you know if you've had a temperature or a cough?
I haven't taken my temperature, but I've been coughing a lot, doctor.
Right. And are you bringing anything up when you cough?
Yeah, it's like rusty colored.
Okay, that doesn't sound good. Have you got any chest pain at all?
Only when I cough.
Right, okay. Now, your records tell me here that you're on a couple of inhalers. You're on Singulair as well as salbutamol, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, still taking those. Okay, and are you still a smoker?
Yes, doctor. I smoke 1 pack a day. I've been trying to quit. I know it's not good for the asthma.
No, that's not good. It's not good at all. All right. I also see from your records that you've recently been on a flight from Melbourne to Jakarta. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And are you experiencing any leg pains after the flight?
No, it was a long flight, but I was okay afterward. I felt okay until I got here with all the humidity.
Right, okay. I think what we'll do, Margaret, is I'll just take a quick listen to your chest, if that's okay. All right, so I'm hearing quite a lot of wheezing in your chest, which is typical for an asthma attack. And I can also hear some decreased breath sounds down here in the left lower lobe of your lung, okay? I think what we'll do is I'll order a chest x-ray to see if you have any infection. I'll also do a couple of blood tests. I'll order something called the basic metabolic panel, as well as a complete blood count. In the meantime, we'll get you started on treatment straight away. I'll prescribe you a salbutamol nebulizer, 2.5 milligrams every 20 minutes, and then I'll come and check in on you in about an hour, okay? And since you're complaining of pain, I'll also prescribe you some painkillers. We'll get you some ibuprofen, 600 milligrams. All right. Have you got any questions for me?
No, thank you, doctor.
Okay, thanks, Margaret.
Okay, so that is agentic AI in action. What you've seen that the AI actually identified the doctor and the patient with the real-time voice. It thinks there's a couple of other people in the room because there's some background noise in the room. You can see the various agents. So there's a line annotation agent whose job it is to monitor the text stream coming through and look for clinical concepts in that stream. And you can see that some of the clinical concepts get highlighted over here. They get translated to the actions in the center pane. There's a quality check agent, which takes all of the results and double checks it. We find that by asking different agents to validate each other's work, we get a higher quality output. We're looking for context. We're trying to pull the actions out. And that really helps to understand the interaction of the agents with the real-time audio in the record. Now, we'll jump into the encounter record where we've got the actions ready to go. We also thought, what could we do maybe to take this one step further and really personalize these agents, really make them seem much more interactive to the doctors? So, Dr. Ramos, this is quite a complex patient and scenario. She's maybe not getting better as fast as you'd hope. Do you think you could use a little help?
Yes, I could do with some help, yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is I will bring up our agents. And the first one that's going to come online is our medical expert agent. If you speak near the microphone and you can speak naturally and ask him anything you like about this case, and these agents will take you through the rest of the workflow.
Hi, my patient doesn't seem to be getting any better. Do you think you can help me out?
Let me check the patient's file to see what else is needed. You're likely to need more than just salbutamol. Here are the ACEP asthma guidelines recommending magnesium sulfate and methylprednisolone. Do you approve?
Yes, I approve. That's a good idea.
On screen, you can see the new results that came a minute ago, showing pneumonia in the left lower lobe. Given these findings, along with fever and low blood pressure, sepsis is likely. IDSA guidelines recommend starting vancomycin and cefepime. Do you approve?
Yes, I approve. I thought she had some decreased sounds in her left lower lobe.
Lastly, I see there's a drug alert. Let me transfer you now to the pharmacy agent.
I noticed ibuprofen was ordered for her pain, but she has an allergy to it. I've recommended substituting it with paracetamol 500 milligrams instead. Do you approve?
Yes, I approve. That's a good catch. Yes, I approve. Yes, pharmacy specialist, I approve.
All medication orders are complete. Do you need anything else?
Yes, since we need to give her some IV antibiotics, I think we should admit her to the inpatient ward.
I see you'd like to admit her. Let me check availability and prepare the admission plan. I've arranged everything, booked a bed in general medicine, created the admission request, and prepared notifications for the ward. Do you confirm?
Yes, I confirm. Let's admit her to Gen Med.
Certainly. Take your time. Let me know if you need further assistance with the admission process or have any questions.
Yes, let's admit her to the ward. Can you help me with my paperwork, please?
Here is the proposed admission plan for this patient, including level of care, bed type, and service. Please review and let me know if you accept or wish to make changes.
Yes, I accept the admission.
Since you're admitting her, I'll create the documents you usually prefer for these cases. Please give me a moment. The documentation is ready. Would you like to sign the visit now?
Yes, that looks good. Yes, I'd like to sign the visit.
I've completed and signed off the visit documentation.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a moment. This is a live demo. You saw some pauses, but we made it through, which is great. So when we first started working with these video avatars, they're a little bit alarming, right? They're not, it's a little bit strange. They look human, but they're not human. They talk like humans. I have to say, all of us working on this project,
It's understandable
over time,
to feel that way
we can
when
just...
working with new
here, I got it.
technology.
Just trying to join in the
Sorry,
conversation.
I'm not interested in any more that she has to say. We'll make her go away. That's the beauty of these things. If you don't like what they say, boom, off they go. So I think it's fair to say over time doing this, you actually get somewhat comfortable with them. And one of the interesting things is this is multimodal communication. So there's a lot of research on the benefits of reading something, hearing it, seeing it in different ways. And my clinical colleagues have often talked about the similarities to things like checklists and having colleagues with you.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, when I first started practicing as a doctor, everything was on paper. And then we got used to computers, looking stuff up on computers. And then we got used to looking stuff up on a mobile device and using clinical decision support. And I think over time, artificial intelligence, we will just treat that as, normal day-to-day technology.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I do have one last avatar to show you, and it's actually one that I think is maybe the nearest term and sort of the most interesting in some ways. So let's have our patient quickly come back. Andra, and I'd like to introduce you to our patient support avatar. Now, she is programmed to have access to your medical record. She also has access to your demographics, so she'll speak to you in your preferred language. You can ask her anything in a very natural way. You're clearly upset. You've just been admitted to hospital. You've had quite a scare in the emergency department. So she's here to help. Just ask her anything you like.
Do I need the mic? Jadi saya dikasih obat nebu apa ya?
Saat ini, perawatan yang sedang diberikan adalah nebulizer salbutamol setiap 20 menit untuk membantu pernapasan Anda. Obat ini bekerja dengan melebarkan saluran napas agar Anda bisa bernapas lebih lega. Jika Anda ingin tahu lebih lanjut tentang cara kerja obat ini, atau ada pertanyaan lain, silahkan tanyakan. Apakah Anda ingin saya jelaskan lebih detail tentang nebulizer salbutamol?
Sorry, I forgot that not everybody here speaks Bahasa Indonesia. Can you repeat that again in English?
Of course. Right now, your current treatment is a salbutamol nebulizer every 20 minutes to help with your breathing. This medication works by opening up your airways so you can breathe more easily. If you'd like to know more about how this medication works or have other questions, please let me know. Would you like me to explain more about the nebulizer?
I'm just concerned about the side effects. Can you tell me more?
Absolutely. The nebulizer you're receiving contains salbutamol, which is a medication that helps relax the muscles around your airways. During an asthma attack or when your breathing is tight, the airways can become narrowed. Salbutamol helps to open them up, making it easier for you to breathe. The nebulizer turns the medication into a fine mist that you inhale through a mask or mouthpiece. This way, the medicine goes directly to your lungs, where it works quickly. You're getting these treatments every 20 minutes right now to help control your symptoms and improve your breathing comfort. If you have any concerns or want to know what to expect next, feel free to ask. Would you like information about the tests your care team has ordered?
No, I think that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Andra. Always important to say thank you to the avatars. I think Don's coming back for a few more slides for the IT team. Thank you very much.
We love live demos, in spite of it not always working perfectly. But I hope that gives you a sense for, back to Terry's point of AI being an assistant. These assistants will start to become even more powerful, even more relatable, can do more for you as this technology matures. So I just wanted to cover two quick things before we go to break. The first is, though we're AI enthusiasts, we're also very careful about incorporating AI into our products. After all, we're in healthcare. There's lives at stake. We want to help human decision makers. We want to help your clinicians, help your staff, but we don't want to take over any of the decision-making capabilities, and we want to make sure that all of this is done in a safe and responsible way. So we've adopted a set of safe AI principles. You can see them on the slide about the role of humans, the limitation, transparency, consistency, explainability, these kinds of things to make sure that the tools are tools to help the humans in the process make good decisions, get more stuff done, these kinds of things. So though we're on the forefront, we believe, of incorporating AI into technologies like ours, we're doing it in a very conscious, careful, validated, tested manner. And then the last thing I will say is just to kind of reflect on what I've been saying is that our aim is to make sure that you're ready for the future. And we feel that our partnership is very valuable. We hope you value it. And we hope you feel that we're keeping you ready to take advantage of AI technologies, to take advantage of interoperability, then help transform the experience for your patients and your clinicians and really take your organizations into the future. So with that, thank you very much, and I think break is next.